Welcome to session 2 of Thriving Beyond COVID and your next step. Trust God to empower your dreams. Early on in their journey together, the disciples asked Jesus to teach them to pray. Good thing to ask. And he responded by inviting them to pray for what I call kingdom impact. Maybe you're not sure where that is. Well, you know it well. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's clear to me that Jesus' mission was to instill a kingdom impacting vision in his followers. So we need to think, what can we do to impact the kingdom in our day, even now? In session 1, you learned that fear, worry, and doubt can become a cancer in the church, deflating the corporate spirit, derailing dreams, and diminishing kingdom impact. Now you understand more about that. You learned that by being vulnerable through sharing your fears, worries, and doubts with others and exposing them to the light of Christ, you are freed from their power so that God's power at work in your midst can take over. COVID has exposed our limitations and points of vulnerability in a big way. This session shifts the focus from our limitations to God's abundance. And yes, that's a bunny in a field of carrots. The key passage for this session may be as new to you as it was to me years ago when I was serving as a mission developer at Spirit of Joy in Orlando, Florida. After 5 years of redevelopment work with a small but faithful group of dreamers, and just 12 weeks away from breaking ground for what we thought was our first building, we learned that the owner of the development where we were to build had abruptly changed the terms of our deal and would not allow us to use the site for future expansion. 12 weeks from breaking ground and $120,000 invested. The receptionist in a mega church we were planning to visit could sense my discouragement when I called, and out of the blue suggested we look to Ephesians 3:20 for encouragement. I had to ask her what that was. I didn't know. She gladly shared it, and here's a standalone version. By the power at work within us, God is able to accomplish abundantly far more than all we can ask or imagine. This little known verse changed my life and our ministry. My prayer is that it will do the same for you. I believe it should be the defining verse for congregational renewal in any season, including the difficult one we are in right now. Trusting that God had a different plan, the congregation voted 67-1 to abandon that $120,000 worth of planning work and look elsewhere. In all honesty, it was the beginning of a long and difficult journey. Now, God eventually transformed our setback into an inspiring blessing and witness, but in the beginning, we were devastated. I was exhausted. We almost gave up. But God's Spirit sustained us and blessed us through the witness of a stranger with a verse I did not know. By the grace of God, lots of prayer and the power of the Spirit at work in us, God ended up transforming a bowling alley into our mission outpost, abundantly far more than all we could have asked or imagined. And then it kept happening more than we could have imagined. God used us as a catalyst in the development of a unique faith-based government-funded ministry to our homeless Orlando neighbors. And then we became ambassadors of encouragement and support for a small group of neglected Lutherans in Burundi, Africa, and I didn't even know where Burundi was. It was an amazing journey that began in darkness, but was guided by the promise of a Bible verse that none of us knew. let's dig into that verse. Look at it more closely. In these dark days, by the power at work within us, it's in us. God is able to accomplish. It's not up to us. God is able to accomplish through his power at work in us abundantly far more than all we can ask or imagine. Now, if Paul had been concise, he simply would have said, God is able to accomplish what we ask. But you see, that wasn't the point. Paul wanted to make sure we understood the extent of God's power. Take note of all the superlatives that Paul added. Abundantly, far more, all. Not just ask, but imagine. It wasn't just what we ask, all we ask. More than, far more, abundantly far more. You get it? Do you sense it? Paul is clearly proclaiming in the strongest terms that the power of God at work in our midst now and every time is able to accomplish things that are far beyond even our ability to imagine. That was true before COVID, and it's true now. But here's the deal. When fear, worry, and doubt become the dominant voices, faith takes a back seat to fear, and the focus shifts to our diminishing resources. As a result, we stop dreaming about kingdom impact. We get conservative and circle our wagons. Are you feeling like doing that right now? When that happens, we limit our dreams to what we think we can accomplish on our own, instead of what God can accomplish by the Spirit at work in our midst. Instead of bold dreams, we play it safe with plans that fail to capture anyone's imagination. And as a result, people become complacent instead of excited. Mission is overlooked. Apathy sets in and people start drifting away. Has that ever happened for you in your church? Now, it may seem fiscally wise to scale back in this season, but what if, as a result of being freed from fear, worry, and doubt, your congregation started dreaming big enough that you'll fail miserably without God's help? Big enough to capture people's imagination that ignites kingdom impact in your community. What if God, who works good in all things, would use this challenging season to empower kingdom impacting dreams in your congregation? It is possible. And I've got lots of stories to back this up. Believe me. In a few moments, you'll be invited to share some dreams and to focus deeply on Ephesians 3. So get ready to move from fear to faith and from despair to hope by focusing not on your limitations, but on God's abundance, aligned with things God wants to bless. Dream big and have some fun.